Hey guys, so it's Reafi, we're here again, and we're actually doing another underrated and underused. Now I was thinking about the whole overrated and overused type thing, and honestly I don't think it contributes as much to the community as I was hoping. I was looking back at it and I was thinking like, what does it really contribute? Like all it tells you guys is like, oh, this monster is really overrated, maybe don't build it. But it doesn't tell you guys like, hey, maybe this monster is a good one, blah 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 blah, like this other type of alternatives. All it does is bash on certain monsters, and that's why I don't really like the overrated and overused part of it. I'm probably still going to do them in the future, but I probably won't do nearly as many as underrated and underused, mainly because these ones are more constructive, whereas the overrated ones are really destructive, based on just bashing monsters and stuff like that. They're very fun and they're definitely entertaining sometimes, but I would rather do these underrated ones. Now you guys are probably thinking like, Reefi, oh you freaking hypocrite, you're going back on your word. You made a top 10 video of the worst nat 5 monsters and you bashed Brandia and you put her within the top 5 and all this type of stuff and yada yada yada. Well, I mean, minds can change, man. And she did get buffed. A lot of the monsters on that list did get buffed, actually. I'm actually wondering if Comp2S saw the video or not. I mean, they have actually seen previous posts that I have sent to them, and I did actually send them a list to buff monsters. So it would be interesting if they actually did buff her based on that. So I'm actually happy about that. One of the representatives also told me, like, hey, if you have any feedback on monsters, let me know. Like, I'm definitely down to hear what monsters you'd like to get buffed and stuff like that, and, like based on the community-wide stuff. So Rakan, there's still hope for you. But we're already almost 2 minutes in. We need to just get into this. This is Brandia, guys. Brandia, the Fire Polar Queen, underrated and underused now that she has been buffed. Now, she was good before, just not as quite useful. Now that she actually got a buff on her third skill, which applies sleep if he doesn't die, of course, because most likely you're going to one-shot it, then she can actually do some pretty nice CC, more or less. So if you don't, let's say you're going for a Ritesh, don't kill him, per se, then boom, they're asleep for 2 turns. You can kind of work your way up, set up a little bit more. Don't have to worry about them, or you can just straight try to keep nuking them. So we're going to look at their skills first. We're going to talk about the multipliers, and then we're going to talk about why Brandia can be useful. Of course, she's not the best nat 5. I mean, there's no argument that she's the best nat 5. There's no argument that she's like super stupid overpowered or anything like that. She's none of those things. I mean, her stats are good. She's got high base HP. She's got decent attack, and she's got a really good attack speed. I'm guessing that she awakened into it. Yeah, she awakened into it. So, I mean, she's got good stats, and she has good potential. But there's something with the Polar Queens that just really pisses me off about their second skill. All of the Polar Queen's second skills are just really mediocre. But that's okay because her first skill and her third skill really make up for her. So also the leader skill is actually pretty freaking good. It doesn't make sense for Brandia because she's really not as useful in arena as in other parts of the game. So having an HP leader skill just for arena is kind of like, it doesn't synergize well as like something like Alicia or Elsa, where she has an attack power leader skill for arena and she's very useful in arena. But regardless of that, let's get into the multipliers. So on the first skill, I gotta pull it up here. On the first skill, she has a 330% multiplier. So she attacks the enemy to inflict damage, and she actually weakens the defense for 2 turns with a 30% chance. So I'm actually going to pull up my guildie, who I'm actually using for this video as a example of the damage, and we're going to look at the skill ups because we want to look at the skill ups and see if it like increases the chances and how much it increases the damage and whatnot. So we pull up Brandia, and she's not max skilled for him, of course, but he's got other priorities. But 25%, so it's a 55% chance to decrease the defense on the first skill. That's actually pretty huge, especially when you're trying to set up Brandia to do damage, and that's actually why he's running her on Violent, probably. That's what I'm guessing. That would make a lot of sense because it would definitely proc into those types of situations. On top of that, the second skill creates a shield that's proportionate to your level to protect all allies for 2 turns, and weakens the attack power of all enemies for 2 turns with an 80% chance. That actually upgrades to 100% chance. You don't gotta worry about that. Now, this is actually something I was actually wondering about. Does it go up to 2 turns or just not have a cooldown? So I guess it doesn't have a cooldown, so it's just 3 turns flat. But that's not as big of a deal because 3 turns is not that much at all, especially when one of the turns is most likely just going to have the shield on you. It's kind of like Wusa's shield in a way, but this one's actually proportionate to the level, right? So, but Besides that, this skill is alright. It's mainly good for survivability within Guild Wars, which is exactly what she is. She's a Guild War monsters, guys. If you guys have her, she's actually pretty freaking good for Guild Wars. So save her for that. Use her for Guild Wars. If I ever summon her, I'll do some showcases of her in Guild Wars. I definitely need to fire nuke her. So definitely potential in that. Now the third skill is what we're looking at. The third skill is the cream of the crop. If she had the other two, and that was it. Is like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of having Brandia? The whole point of Brandia is the fact that she has an Amir type skill. Okay, so it attacks the enemy where the damage increased by 30%. Okay, so this isn't exactly like Amir. Amir's attack power is increased by 30% per harmful effect. This one, the damage is increased by 30%. You see the difference? So the damage is increased by 30% for each harmful effect of the enemy, which puts the enemy to sleep for 2 turns after the attack, if the enemy isn't already dead, of course. So other than the fact that it's pretty much kill or get CC'd for 2 turns, this actually does massive damage. So the way we're going to set it up, we're actually going to test it with an optimal amount of dots, or dots. We're going to be using dots in Famon Hell mode. It's been a while since I've used reps for showcasing. Alright, we'll do it in Hell mode. We'll do it in Famon. We're going to go ahead and assume there's no attack power leader skill, because most of the time in a Guild War fight you will not be bringing an attack power leader skill. And honestly, I think the best way to set this up will be to use... So Shroud's Brandia is actually so fast and sudden speed crit damage attack that I'm going to have to bring in some kind of research ability so that I can actually set it up. So before we start this up, let me just take a second to talk about the runes. He's running attack or speed crit damage attack on Violent Will. Now, I asked him and he claims that these are leftover runes, but I'm going to be honest with you guys, I think he's silent, or like secretly has a crush on Brandia, and he gave her some pretty dope freaking runes. I mean, like, look at these types of runes. Like, you really want to call these leftover runes? No, these are not leftover runes. I'm missing these kinds of runes, okay? But this guy's a legend player, so just look at the stats, ignore the speed part, and look at the crit damage and the attack power. Okay, you guys can get these stats for a mid-game player. You can get these stats ignoring the speed, because he has speed on slot 2. So you can definitely get these stats just without the speed. And this one's on violent too, so you don't have to have it on violent. So we're going to go ahead and try this out, and we're going to see how much damage we can exactly do. Now, of course, my Galleon's going to go first. We're going to try to set up some defense break. So first we got to... Okay, it's not on auto. Whew. Set up some defense break. Alright, so we got 3 of the targets. So we'll go ahead and attack this one. And no defense break, it does 12.5k. Okay? We're going to set up some extra dots. So now we've got 3 debuffs on every single one of them. We're going to resurge Brandia. I swear to God, if we do not crit on this one, I'm going to be so pissed. So Brandia does... Oh my God. Oh my God. Did you guys see how much damage that was? That was 85,000. Holy, oh my gosh. That's insane. I know nothing has changed about her, but the fact that she does that and puts the enemy to sleep afterwards, that's crazy damage. Now, you don't need that much damage, okay? Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's like pretty freaking impressive, but you don't need that much damage. So, like Shrouds is doing, it's best to put those stats into other categories. You guys feel me? So if you guys are like looking like, wow, I want to get as much damage as possible, the difference between doing 60k damage or doing 120k damage, there's no difference for PvP. You're going to be one-shotting monsters, okay? You're going to be one-shotting them regardless. So there's no difference between the excess of damage that you're doing. But what you are actually happening with what's actually happening with your monster is now you're lacking in stats, because you're mainly going into attack power and crit damage and crit rate, all that type of stuff. And now you're lacking in speed, you're lacking in HP, you're lacking in all of these other types of stats. So the best thing to do, I would definitely go with Brandia, go high crit rate, do a decent amount of crit damage, okay? Definitely a decent amount of crit damage. You could even go rage on there, but violent looks like really potential, okay? And then after that, we can set, that's not good. We're going to set up another one at the 3rd stage. And another thing that you guys should definitely do with Brandia is get her up with very high speed, like you guys saw right here with Shrouds. Shrouds has a pretty freaking nice Brandia, even though he claims that it's only backup runes. whatever. Okay, so we're gonna set this up again, and we're gonna confirm it. We're gonna confirm it. So let's put on another debuff. Yeah, we'll put on our little shield, put on some attack break, then we'll put on this one, right? Do we have any 4 debuff ones? Oh, come on, that was such a perfect setup. Can we stun? Oh wait, we should have done the middle one. What am I doing? That's okay. So the third skill, sick. We're gonna do the awaken one for more defense. Let's see how much damage she does again. Okay, so there you saw. That was a lot less. That was 71,000. I mean, that's still impressive. 71,000 on violent, will, speed, crit damage, attack. Oh my gosh. Now, of course, this is like not like super optimal settings. It's 3 debuffs with attack buff and defense break. So that right there is a lot of kind of situations that you're going to need to set up. Very situational. But the fact of the matter is, she puts on debuffs herself. She sets up herself with defense break. She does a very high damage third skill, albeit it's probably really hard to set her up. The other monsters could proc out of it and all that type of stuff. But the point is here, guys, she does enough damage to where you can run like, you could run almost anything on her. You could run HP crit damage, HP. You could run HP crit damage attack. Honestly, the best thing to do here, high speed. I would say at least around 20,000 HP. She has the base HP for that. It's not something like some Nat 4 with like 7,000 base HP. This is a Nat 5 with 10.5k base HP. That's a lot. That's a big amount. Okay. Her base attack is enough to stack. I would at least say around plus 1200 would be ideal. And then you'd at least want over 140% crit damage. And it's up to you guys on what rune sets you guys want to choose. But this is Brandia. Definitely underrated and underused. A lot of people say rip in chat. And I kind of grown fond of her. I've tried her out. I've played around with her. I've been playing around with monsters on other people's accounts. You know, some people message me like, hey, if you want to try this out, try it out. And I've been playing around, testing with them, and Brandia was something that I really liked. It's actually the inspiration of this specific video I was planning. And I want to know what you guys think. You know, I definitely changed my mind. It opened my eyes on Brandia. I don't really, actually, I think that she's one of the worst Nat 5s anymore. So maybe I'll update that list later. Probably not, because honestly there was such a cancer post and so many cancerous comments. Probably won't happen again. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this was an eye-opener for you guys. Just trying to show you the damage potential that Brandia has. You don't need that much damage. All you need to do is set up to where she can deal a decent amount of damage, where you can focus her other stats into stuff like speed and HP. So this is underrated and underused. I hope this was an eye-opener, and I will see you guys next time. Make sure you guys leave some suggestions in the comments. Those are going to be the ones I base my next underrated, underused series on. So next week, make sure you leave a recommendation, and I'll go through them, and I'll pick the one that I like best. Alright guys, I will see you all later.